Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Hidden Quantum Champions. Today we are looking at a hidden company from Germany that is active in the field of quantum key distribution and quantum communication called Quantum Optics Jena. They are making the first many-to-many system that can actually have multiple parties communicating with each other in a mesh network in using quantum communication schemes. And in today's video, we will talk about why this is important, what we can learn here from this company, and how the technology works. If you are interested in quantum communication and if you also want to understand how they differentiate from others, what makes them special, then stay tuned for today's video as we are diving deeper into Quantum Optics Jena. And with that, here we are on their website. So you see it up here, Quantum Optics Jena, empowering secure communications with quantum entanglement. And then you see this fancy couple of formulas that are floating around here and quantum objects that are moving around. Here it says, be part of the quantum revolution. So the demand for ultra-secure communication has reached critical levels due to the increasing sophistication of cyber threats. Safeguarding sensitive information has become a top priority, necessitating robust security measures to ensure confidentiality and prevent unauthorized access. Advanced technology and innovation security protocols are essential in maintaining trust and protecting data in today's interconnected world. Hack now, decrypt later, I think sometimes also referred to as harvest now, decrypt later, attacks combined with the impending development of cryptographically relevant quantum computer intensify concerns over the vulnerability of traditional encryption methods. To combat these risks, entanglement-based quantum key distribution (QKD) emerges as a robust solution providing secure communications that can withstand the evolving threat landscape. If you have never heard about QKD and if you've never heard about quantum communication schemes, I will not dive into the exact details of all of this in today's video. If that's interesting to you, go check out our Hidden Quantum Champions playlist, where I also talk about many other companies from that field, and in some of them I'm also walking through the details of how quantum communication works. But the essentially important thing, harvest now or hack now, decrypt later, means a quantum computer in the future will be capable of hacking our today's asymmetric encryption scheme. Asymmetric encryption, what is that? If you're looking at your browser, you see that in the domain, for example, it says HTTPS. It means that your communication is secured. You have a so-called asymmetric encryption, so you can read the message and that is being exchanged with this server that is emitting the HTTPS in a way that you never had to previously agree on a specific key. So there's a so-called asymmetric method in there, and that relies on the key on a algorithm that uses prime numbers to create this encryption. And the idea is, if I give you two prime numbers and you multiply them with each other, it's very easy. It's an easy task. But if I give you a huge number and I ask you what are the two prime numbers that are multiplied to get this number, it's very hard to figure this out. And this is very hard for a classical computer, but it's actually not that hard anymore for a quantum computer. That's something which Peter Shor uncovered and is called the Shor algorithm. And there's been some iterations on this, how to get that up and running more efficiently. The gist of it is we are waiting for the Q day, so-called Q day, where on the one side, the advances of the algorithms are making it much easier to generate or to break this encryption. And on the other side, the quantum computers are getting more and more efficient. So there's more and more qubits in your quantum computer. So the qubits goes up, the requirement for qubits goes down, and at some point the two of them will meet and you will be able to crack the encryption. And you don't even need to wait until this day, right? You can already start collecting data today. So big agencies like, I don't know, NSA, they might collect already data, intelligence data today, and just wait for the time when they have a quantum computer powerful enough to decrypt these messages. That's the long story. The idea is to use quantum technology and the fact that quantum technology cannot be copied to exchange information and make sure that no one can eavesdrop in between. So that's the idea of this whole quantum key distribution. You generate an entangled pair of photons as an example, and now you send these two photons out to two different parties. They communicate on a classical channel about the photons that they have received, and they check back whether these two photons are actually entangled, because if somebody would sit in between and would measure one of those photons and then just send out another one that looks similar, you could actually figure this out. You could measure this and then you would know that somebody's sitting in between and eavesdropping into your data exchange. And that means that with the quantum theory, you are basically protected from this happening, because you can detect if it's happening and then stop the communication, right? And this is secured by the quantum theory, which is up to now the most precise theory of nature that we ever had, according to the most precise measurements that we ever did, which doesn't necessarily mean it's right. Theory works by falsification, right? But it means that it's a very strong protection, another very strong protection, and that is ensured by the non-cloning theorem, as in I cannot copy a quantum information and just read out the copy of it, because it's not possible to copy it. Okay, but now back to quantum optics Jena and what their technologies is about, what the products are, and what makes them unique also, right? So let's quickly go through that. Here we see the products. We see an entangled photon pair source. That's what you need to create those quantum keys, right? A QKD, quantum key distribution, needs an entangled photon pair source. Then you have the polarization analyzing modules. This is what you need to actually measure the property of the photon and then know if they are actually entangled or if somebody just sent some copy in between. And then the quantum key distribution system is, I guess, on the software side. Besides that, you also see there are some projects linked down here, research and development projects with scientific community in public-private partnership. This is in German, but it says Entwicklung Langstrecken Multi-User QKD System zur Sicherung kritischer Infrastruktur, so protecting critical infrastructure over long distances with multiple users. And multiple users is something that you should keep in mind. We will come back to that in a second. Spectral sensing with quantum light, SPEQ, compact nonlinear interferometer for quantum sensing, Koenig, I guess. And then integral high performance entanglement source with 800 nanometers IEPS. Okay, and then built in Jena, so the city of Jena, as the proud of home of quantum optics Jena, the city of Jena holds a special place in our hearts. Over 150 years ago, the Jena triumvirate Carl Zeiss, Ernst Abbe and Otto Schott revolutionized scientifically based microscope construction, laying the groundwork of internationally renowned companies and fostering a seamless integration between academia, research institutions, and local industry. Today, this legacy lives on through Quantum Optics Jena and others, showcasing the enduring impact of interdisciplinary connections and light-based technologies. The City of Light, quote unquote, has solidified its status as a European hub for optics and photonics research with the integration of Jena's two esteemed universities, prominent research institutions, and local industry. Jena's array of luminous success stories has tackled pressing challenges across diverse fronts, including healthcare, energy, transportation, environmental sustainability, security, as well as communication and information technology. And then there's a link to the gender equality plan, some news section in here with the latest news from January 2026. I'm recording this in June of 2026, so I guess quite a couple of months ago, but still pretty much active, as you can see. So latest news from 2026, and then become part of the team, right? So as a startup, we offer manifold development opportunities, hierarchies, challenging development projects, and the possibility to anticipate in our success through company shares. We believe in equality and the power of intercultural, interdisciplinary teams. All qualified applications will receive consideration for employment without regard to color, race, religion, gender, national origin, or disability. We welcome unsolicited applications and are currently seeking additional personnel in the following teams. And then please send your application and so on and so forth. Then there's also job offering in here, and then get in touch with one office, of course, in Jena in Germany, and then there's also some contact here for North America, events that you can meet up with them. So May 2026, again, I'm recording this in June, so just missed out on that, but the next one's already scheduled here for July. And then the partners linked here as well, with some venture capital, but then also the Fraunhofer Technology Transfer Fund, so basically very close to Fraunhofer as well. Jena, very quick note, is the city of those people here that I mentioned here that have a very big impact on the physics of optics. Carl Zeiss also has a big footprint in the world of economy, because there's a company which is also called Carl Zeiss, which is, I think, one of the world-leading companies in specific optics technologies, like, for example, in semiconductor optics. They are making, for example, the mirror, which goes into the lithography machines of ASML, which is the Dutch company that makes basically the lithography machines, which is one of the most important elements in today's semiconductor fabrication, that then goes to companies like TSMC in Taiwan, but also Intel in the US. So basically the whole world is buying these machines that have the technology from Zeiss in them. So they are again one of the hidden champions, probably even one of the hidden quantum champions. So let me know if I should make a video about Zeiss as well, down in the comments below. And they are very active also in various other fields, like, for example, in the medical field. There are like different verticals of Carl Zeiss that are doing different things. You might also know them from your optician, because if you buy glasses, you sometimes also use glasses from Zeiss. So they are very well known across different industries with their products. And for that, Jena is also, let's say, one of the main locations of Zeiss, where they're doing a lot of research and development. And that's, of course, one of the followings of this very STEM-heavy, optics-heavy research that Jena has been doing 150 years ago, so a long time ago, and still it's something which the world is actually using, which the world is needing. Now, I want to talk, before closing this video, quickly about what is actually the USP of those guys, right? Because I didn't, let's say, explicitly see too much on the website here, and also when you click on the product, I mean, there is a lot of information here, so don't get me wrong on that. You can read a lot about QKD and the cybersecurity aspect of it, how it works, what are the key metrics, also the wavelength, which is very important here and plays a big role, and the different products that are available, right? So C-band, I mean, we talked about that. I think in the previous video even, you can see something about the C-band and the importance that it plays for quantum technology, also for connecting quantum computers to each other using existing fiber infrastructure. And then, yeah, all the other products. But what I found very important is in my research, and I want to highlight that as well, this is from BMT. So they are talking about an investment. So Quantum Optics Jena secure 8.5 million euros in a Series A funding to revolutionize secure communication. This is from 2024. And here you find something that is very interesting. So Quantum Optics Jena is the world's only commercial provider of such multi-party quantum key distribution systems. The company, which develops hardware, software, and services for data exchange, has received multiple awards for this technology. QOJ's, so Quantum Optics Jena's, solutions are particularly interesting for customers with high security requirements, such as government networks, as well as banks that need to communicate confidentially and securely, but have high risk of exposure to hackers. This technology can also benefit research institutions, small, medium-sized enterprises, and so on and so forth. The important thing that I want you to focus on is this multi-party quantum key distribution. So in previous videos about quantum key distribution providers, I talked about other aspects, like for example, in a recent one, I talked about the price of scaling the network. So they were focused really much. And if you haven't seen that video, again, go check out the playlist. The company that I was talking about there is focused very much on making the scalability of this quantum key distribution network cheap as possible. And that does something to the network architecture. So you go with certain central hubs that do certain things, and you basically centralize part of the technology chain in this hub to basically make it cheap for the, let's say, nodes in your network, the additional nodes that you put to actually distribute in that network. Here, in this case, you have a true multi-party distribution, as far as I understand. It means if you have different parties that are talking to each other, they don't need the central hub. And if you have different parties that are talking to each other, you don't just forward through another partner that is basically then for a short moment that has to be trusted. So let's say I have 3 different points in my network, A, B, and C. And now I want to have A and B talk to each other. So they can talk directly to each other. But let's say there's a malicious actor that is cutting the fiber connection between A and B. Now there would still be a way to talk via C, right? So you could have A, C, B like this, but only if you have a true multi-party setup, because otherwise you would have to go A to C, then C is basically can copy this information because it's at that point decrypted again. And then C would need to copy this and then talk to B again. So you would need to be able to trust C that the message that you want to send to B is actually secret with C. But in a true multi-party setup, you don't need this because you would basically just put C as, for example, the source. So C would just produce 2 photons that are entangled and they would go to A and B. And then C wouldn't have any access to this information. It's just a producer of the quantum key, of the distributed quantum key, that in this case is 2 entangled photons. And now if you want to make this multi-party, so if let's say instead of just 2 parties, you want to have every party talk to every party, instead of just creating 2 red photons, you could have, let's say, an infrared photon, a red photon, and maybe a yellow or something that is like higher up in the energy, a blue photon. And you would send all of these into the network, and then you could have different parties pick up on different of these wavelengths and talk to each other so that they can actually have multi-party connectivity to each other. And that's as far as I understand from how I interpret that, more or less how it works, because also looking at the products, you see there are like different bands in there, and you have this multi-party aspect mentioned in here. And I think that's what really makes this very interesting, even though you might not see it that strong here on the website. With that, I let you to think about the implications of that. I let you to think about whether this is interesting or not. From my point of view, it is, because it makes, let's say, the secure networks even more secure if you have this mesh setup where different parties can talk via different routes to each other. That might not be something that everyone needs, right? Because it's not the cheapest way of doing it. But still, it is a very secure way. And if you're talking about governments and financial institutions that might have a very high interest in keeping certain secret, because there could be a very big economic disaster connected with not having them secret, they might still be willing to invest into this even more secure and, let's say, diversified network where you have different alternatives available. With that, I let you to think about the rest of this. Let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss out on to the next one. As always, stay hydrated, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.